Have you been wanting to get into selling products online but feel like you've been a bit stuck on the design side of things? Maybe you've thought about selling print on demand or selling digital products on Etsy or another marketplace but have no tech skills and feel kind of intimidated by all of the different design programs out there. Or maybe you're a startup business and just want to have a really great logo and branding assets without having to pay hundreds of dollars for a professional to create it for you. Well, if any of those are you, friend, I'm speaking to you because today I'm sharing a free and easy tool that I have been loving that you can easily use to create designs even if you're a complete beginner with no design experience at all. It's user-friendly, intuitive, and it's about to make your life so much easier. So let's jump in. Hey friends, welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time here, I'm so glad you're here. I'm Kate. I'm a wife, mama, Etsy seller, and business coach, and I'm here to help you start and scale your online business so that you can make a full-time income doing what you love. Now, if you're in that same boat that I described before, feeling kind of stuck and not sure on the design side of things, maybe you're just getting started and you've never done this kind of thing before, I feel you, friend. I have been there too, and I know it is so intimidating, so overwhelming in the beginning. So I want to help you by sharing any tools that I find that I think really could be useful for you, especially if you're a beginner. So the software I'm going to be sharing with you today is exactly that. I recently discovered it and have been using it, playing around with it myself, and have genuinely been loving it and loving the features it provides. So without further ado, the software we're talking about today is Kittl. One thing I absolutely love about Kittl is that it is a web-based graphic design software that's very intuitive, like I mentioned before. But since it's web-based, you're not having to download an app, you're not having to download anything separately. You can use it right there on your web browser. Now, before we hop in, I want to give a big thank you to Kittl for sponsoring this video. I am so just genuinely excited about showing you how you can use this for print on demand designs, for digital product designs, and for branding assets like your logo. So let's go ahead and hop onto the computer. Okay, so this is Kittl, and one reason I love Kittl, other than it just being a web-based platform, is that you can actually create a design starting from scratch or from a template. So if you're not super confident in creating your own design from scratch yet, they have awesome templates made by a lot of different creators that you can use and edit in just about every way possible to make your own. And one really neat thing about Kittl is that if you look underneath the designs, you can see who the creator of that template is. So Kittl creates a lot of their own templates, but they also have other creators and designers on the platform that are sharing their own designs for you to use as a template as well. So if you see someone that you like, their design style, you can actually click on their name and click through to their profile and see what else they have to offer. Now they have these little icons that you can click on at the top to filter by category. So we can look for t-shirt designs, poster designs, social media. But today I'm going to show you two different ways of designing, one from a template, one from scratch. So let's start with our template design, and we're going to use a logo for this. So let's say that we're a brand new business. We're wanting to create our own logo and we're wanting to use a template to start off with. And we might know that we like a modern style. So I'm going to type in modern into the search bar, and this is going to further filter these templates to show us only the ones that are more of a modern style. So I'm going to scroll through these and see if I like any that I could start with and really edit it to make it my own logo. I like this one that says Nautica with the circle text. I'm going to click use this design, and then it'll pull it up on my canvas for me to edit. Now I can click on anything on this design. It'll highlight that one element, and I can see over here how I can edit it. So whether I highlight the text or the graphic element or the background, I can edit these all in a lot of different ways. So if I'm looking at this text, I can see over here I can change text color, the font, there's transformation. So we'll go through a lot of these, but also here on the left side, you'll see a panel for text, elements, uploads, photos. It's like stock photos and textures. So we're going to go through all of these. It's just so many great ways to edit the design and make it your own. I'm so excited to show you some of my favorite things to do on here. Okay, so let's say we want to edit this and make this our business name. So we might have a business name called Summit. And then under here where it says backpacks, instead of selling backpacks, let's say that we sell journals. So our business name is Summit Journals. And then I can click on this text and come over here. The first thing I'm going to do is change it to a brand color. So I want to make sure that all the colors I'm choosing for my design fit together within my brand colors. They're cohesive. So I can either click around on here until I find the color I want, or if I know my exact text code for that brand color, I can type it in here. I can also slide on this opacity slider to make the text more see-through and transparent or more solid, which is really cool. Then once I get the color that I like, I'm going going to come down here and change the font. Now, Kittle already has amazing fonts in here. There's so many to choose from and a lot of different styles that are super trendy. So I'm going to look through here and choose one that I like for this main headline. Now I'm going to drag this and make it a little bit smaller and drag it over to where I want. Super easy to drag and drop in this editor. And then after I get that where I want it, I can come down here to transformation. So this is a really cool area where you can actually change and distort the text in whatever way you want. So if you want it to be a circle, you could do that, or you can arch it. You could have it waving or do a flag sort of style. And you can use this slider to move to the left or right to move it exactly how you want it. Or if you want it even more custom, you can use these anchor points, which are these little dots along the text, to drag and drop the text where you want it and sort of shift the shape around exactly how you like it. Now, for the purpose of this video, I'm just going to make this text straight across because I want to show you a few other things we can do with this as far as effects. So if we come up here to the little A tab, these are further text effects like shading and decoration. So shading would be like adding a shadow underneath your text. We've got a drop shadow, a line shadow, a block shadow, and a 3D shadow. So you could see which of these styles you like the best. And then you can also change the color of that shadow underneath. So right now it's a gray color, but I could change this to a pink or any kind of other color I want that shadow to be. And then once I've decided on my shadow color, I can play around with the offset and the angle as well. So offset is like how far down the shadow is coming from the text. And then angle, of course, is the angle that it's appearing from. So I can play around with this and get it just the way I like it. And then I can also come down here to decoration. So this is adding even further effects like horizontal lines, a color block, diagonal lines, or even this fun one, which is kind of like a beachy feel with the lines going across. Again, I can change the color of those lines and the top accent color. I might want to have this as my secondary brand color. And then I can change the weight and distance for this specific one. So weight would be like how thin or thick those lines are appearing. And then distance is how far up or down on the words that color is coming. So I can make this really exactly what I want, which is really neat. Okay, and then I might come and change this journals text to be another color that's one of our brand colors. Now, the really cool thing is when you come to that text color, you'll see where it says document palette down here. This is starting to show us all of the different colors that are already used elsewhere in our design in case we're wanting to match exactly the same colors. So we see our teal color here that we used before, as well as our secondary pink color. And then this gray color is the one that I used for the shadow color. So I can choose any of these that are already showing up in my design in another place if I want to make it really cohesive. So I think I'm going to just stay with that really cool gray color for the journals part. And then of course, I'm going to edit the font on this. I want to choose sort of a secondary font that goes well with my first headline font. So I can play around with these fonts and find one that I feel like goes really well. And then of course, I can size it and drag it to where I want it. So we've got our summit journals there. And now I want to edit this little graphic image here because right now it's an anchor that doesn't really make sense for our business. So I'm just going to highlight that, click delete. And then we're going to come over here to the left where it says elements. And I'm going to search for a different graphic element to put there in its place. So I love that Kittle has tons of different elements over here. They've got shapes, ornaments, illustrations that you can use, abstract shapes, and a search bar. So if you're not really sure, you can just search for something that you're looking for. I think for us, for this imaginary business called Summit Journal, since it's Summit, I might look for a mountain. So I'm going to type in mountain and see what comes up for that. So I'm going to look for an image that might go well with this logo style. And I think I like this one. It has that sort of modern feel. So I'm going to size this down a little bit and drag it to where I want it. And then of course, I'm going to change the color to go with the other colors I have going on here. I'm going to change it to that nice teal color. And then I'm going to work here on this circle text. So right now we've got it saying recycled materials locally made. I can edit this to say whatever I want. So for a business logo, this is a really great thing to point out specific things that make this business unique, or this could be a place to put a tagline or even just an established date. So I might just put established 2022 here. And then when I click outside of it, it takes it back to that circle to show me what it would look like. Now I'm going to change that text color again, and I'm going to use my document palette to keep everything nice and cohesive. I can change the font of this if I'd like. And then I can actually click this little arrow to rotate. If I want to put this somewhere else in the design, I can rotate it and then I can drag it and drop it exactly where I'd like it. Of course, I can always drag the corner out to make it larger or drag it in to make it smaller. And I can play around with this until I'm happy with where that's appearing. Okay, now that I'm happy with our text and our little graphic here, I'm going to just bring this up to make this centered underneath the graphic design there. And now I want to look at our background. Right now it's this kind of light blue color. So if I want to change that background background color, I can come over here. I can always just change this to whatever color I'd like or use my document palette. You can see that there's already a texture on this from the template. So you can see that the person that created that template applied a texture over the background color. So we can either keep that if we like or change out that texture. Let's say we want to set this as our background color. And now if we come down here to the bottom right where it says layers, you'll see where all of your layers are. So a layer is just one part of this design. Each part of this is a different layer and they show up in a certain order. So if you want to see what order they're showing up in, you can look down here where your layers are and you can select the layer that you want to see, like texture or summit. That's our word summit, and it'll highlight it for you. So right now we can see this texture that's appearing. And if we want to see what it would look like without that texture, we can click on this little eyeball symbol and that'll take it off or back on to show us that texture. So if we want to change this texture at all, we can select that layer and click unlock object. And now we can change the opacity to make it darker or lighter. We can do a lot of stuff with it, but let's take it all the way down so we can play around with some other textures. So if we come over here to the left side panel again, the very bottom one says textures. And this is another element of Kittle that I just absolutely love and think is so fun to play with are all these different cool textures. So they have grunge, paper, pattern, grain, wood textures, crack, marble, brick. So if you click on one, you can see what it would look like. There's a brick one, here's some crack ones, here's a grain one. So it's super fun to just play around with these. Now let's say we like this grunge pattern, but right now it's super dark and it's appearing over our text, which we probably don't want for a logo. So we could come over here to opacity and make this a little bit lighter by sliding that to the left. Once we're happy with the way it looks, we can click release texture, but it's still appearing over our text. So the way we're going to get that to go behind our text is to come where we had our layers. And now we see this top layer is the one we just added with that texture. We're going to click that and drag it and drop it below where our words are. So now we see it appears behind our text, which is exactly what we want. So over here on the layer section, the lower down you bring it, the further back that layer is going. So if you want your text on top, you would want the text layer up high above the others. Now, once we are happy with our image, we like this as our logo, we can download it by coming up here to this little arrow, clicking download, and that will actually let us download this as an image to use as our logo. Now, one other thing I want to note too here before we move on is if you didn't want a background, you could highlight this background and come over here to the background layer, and you could make the opacity 0%, which means that now it's a transparent background. Of course, we can still see that texture on there. You could take that off as well. But if you just wanted your logo with a transparent background so that you could actually use this and put it onto something else with a different background, you can always just make that background completely transparent by bringing that opacity down. Okay, so now that we have made a design from a template, I want to show you how to make a design from scratch. So let's say that we're a print on demand seller. We're wanting to create a t-shirt design from scratch. I went back to the home page on Kittle and just clicked where it says new project, and it brings up this blank canvas. So what I would start with is doing a little bit of research and already having in mind what I want to create. So I did look on Etsy to see some fall shirts that are selling well, since right now at the time of recording, it's fall. There were some really cute shirts that said October is my favorite color, which I really love that phrase. So first I'm going to start by adding my text, and then I'll follow that up with some maybe graphic images. So let's look over here. When we come to the left panel where it says text, we can see where we can add a headline or a paragraph, but we can also click any of these that are already their designs that they've created, different font pairings and things like that, if we want a starting place. So I looked at these decorated ones and I really like the one that says bistro. So when I click that, it adds it to my canvas, and I can double click and then make this say what I want it to say. So if my phrase is October is my favorite color, I'll type in October. And then of course I want to size this to how I want it. And then I think I might do is my in sort of more of a normal font. I just add a headline and type that out. I'm going to add another one for favorite. And then I'll probably do color in that same bistro style. So I'm going to add that again, drag it down here and type in color. All right. Now when I click on this, I can of course come over here to the right and change the colors and anything I want about this text. So if I want it to be a fall shirt, I'm probably going to be going with those warm fall colors, and I can play around with this until I figure out what colors I really like for this. Now, I also want to be thinking about what color t-shirt is going to be the background underneath this. So it depends on what I'm selling. If I'm selling white shirts, gray shirts, black shirts, you can have really any t-shirt color, but you want to keep that in mind as you're designing, because certain colors in your font are going to look better on certain colors in the background on the t-shirt. So if I am designing this for, let's say, a white t-shirt, then I could choose some really nice fall colors here. I think that looks nice with that gold and sort of maroon color. So I'm going to do that with October, and I'm also going to change the word color similar to the same ones. Now, if I look down here again in my document palette, it'll be really easy for me to pull up those colors again to make it match. Now I can come over here to the effects and it'll show me what effects it's already applied. So it already has an offset and an angle with this line shadow. So I can either keep that or I could change this to the block shadow, the drop shadow, whatever I like. But since it's a t-shirt design, sometimes simple is better for trendy, modern looking t-shirts. So I might just leave that as is or even bring this offset a little bit down. Same with this one. Click over to my effects and bring that down a little bit. Okay, and then I think that I might want to arch these a little bit so I can put some graphics in the middle. I can click arch here, and then I'm just going to use this slider to bring this down. I'm going to do the same thing with my main word, October. I'm going to arch that up a little bit. I don't want it too much. I just want it slightly arched there. Okay, and now I'm going to edit these in a minute, but I'm going to make this a little bit smaller so I have room to fit in a few graphic images or icons here. So let's look for something that's really fall related. Let's come over here to elements and type in maybe pumpkin. And let's see if we can choose something that would be really good for a fall t-shirt. All right, so let's try this pumpkin possibly. Now that coloring is not really what we're looking for, but we can always change that in a minute. So let's put that there. And then I think I want to also look for maybe like a coffee cup. Everybody loves their pumpkin chai in the fall. So let's look up coffee and choose one that goes along with the style here. Again, we're going to change the color. So let's not worry about that too much right now. We're just going to drag this down and then maybe let's look for some wheat. All right, so here is a really great little graphic element of wheat. We're going to drag this, make it a little bit smaller, and of course we will play around with this to put it in the right spot in a minute. So first, let's get the coloring of all of these right. Let's start with our pumpkin. Now we can see our object colors, the colors that are already in it right here. We can click to change it to whatever color we'd like. So again, we're going to keep in mind whatever that shirt color is going to be because that's going to be the background. But for this, we're acting like we're going to put it on a white shirt. So we can pretty much do whatever color we might like here. Again, remember you can change the opacity, which is how transparent that color is. And we can use our document palette colors down here as well. Okay, so I like that as the main pumpkin color. And now we see all those little black lines, which is this color. We can change those. And if you see when you click the color, it changes those little lines to a different color. So you could keep it with the black and just make it a little bit more transparent if you didn't want those lines to be as prominent, or you can make them darker, whatever you like. So I think I'm just going to bring that opacity down a little bit. And then I'm going to change that stem color because I don't really want that green. I sort of want it to be more neutral, and I might make it a little more transparent as well. Okay, and now I'm going to come and change this cup color to one of our document colors. This is just a really great way to make sure everything is matching and on brand for that design. And I'm going to do the same with our wheat here. Okay, now let's kind of play around with the spacing of this. So we can make this pumpkin a little bit bigger, and we can rotate things too by just clicking this arrow. So if we wanted to rotate an image, we could do it like that. And we can bring our wheat over and rotate that so it looks like it's kind of coming out from the design a little bit. And if we wanted to put another wheat on the other side, we can always click this, right click and copy, and then right click and paste, and that'll give us another one. We can drag over and rotate this second one how we'd like it to be coming out. And then of course we can see our stems are kind of showing on the top there. That's where we would come over to layers and we would drag that layer behind the others. So now the stems are behind that cup. So of course we could just kind of play around with this until we feel like it was a really great design the way we had it set up. And now let's come over and start editing these last few text lines. So we can make this whatever font we like. We might want to choose a secondary font that goes along with our main font. And then of course we want to change to a color that goes along with our design as well. And remember, we can always use any of these transformations to make it look more interesting, as well as these shading and decoration effects. And so this could be a complete design as is, but you could always add more as well. If you come over here to the elements on the left side again, you can see where it says ornaments. You can look through these. They have flourishes, they have spot elements, which are really fun. So if you wanted to just add a little pop of something extra, you could always add something in there. Of course, you want to make sure whatever you add goes along with the theme of your design and doesn't kind of distract from it. But I just love looking on Kittle through all these different elements to see if there's anything fun ton that I could add to it. There's frames, they've got banners, they've got wreaths. So it's just super fun to look through all of this and play around with it to see if anything would fit your design. If you come over to abstract shapes, you can see things like paint splatters, clouds, brush strokes. So the options are just really endless. I think it is so fun to have all of these options when you're designing. Now, let's say that you have created your t-shirt design and you're ready to use it on a t-shirt. Of course, you can download the image here. You would want to make sure that you have the background taken care of and made transparent before downloading if you're going to be putting this onto something like a t-shirt. So remember to come over to your layers to background and bring that opacity to 0, which will make it transparent. You can tell that it has that transparent background because it'll have this sort of gray and white checkered background. So that way, when you download it and then you upload it to your t-shirt or whatever it is that you're selling it on, it doesn't matter what the background color is, it will show it as transparent on top of that background. So then when you have your background transparent, you're ready to download, you can come up here to download. You can choose the size and the DPI, which is dots per inch that you want to download. You can also click here to remove background. If you haven't already done that, there's an option for that as well. And then you can click what type of file you want to download as. So for digital use, they suggest PNG or JPEG. For prints, they suggest PDF or SVG. So you can have that option to download as the type of file that you want to. So the best part about this is that you can use it completely for free. I wanted to show you the different plans they offer. So they do have a free forever plan. You can use it completely free. You get a commercial license with that. Now, the thing with the free plan is that even though it does come with a commercial license, it does require attribution. So if you're using this on the free plan, wherever you sell your products, you just need to give attribution and say something like this design was created using Kittle. But if you upgrade to any of these, the Pro, Expert, or Business plans, you don't have to give attribution. It comes with a full commercial license. So you can use this for print on demand designs, digital prints, anything like that that you're selling for your business. And then also on the Pro and Expert and Business plans, you get high resolution images. You get the option to export as a vector image, which means that you'll be able to scale it to any size, and you get more and more projects with these higher tier plans, as well as more upload space. So you can look through these different options and see if you plan on using Kittle for your business on a regular basis, which one of these would be the best fit for you. Of course, with this top business plan, you have branding and team features as well if you have a whole team. But I love that you can use it for free on the free plan, and then you can feel free to upgrade later if you feel like it's a really great fit for your business and you want to continue using it. So I'll have the link in the description box below if you'd like to click through and start trying Kittle today. Again, I think it is so fun to play around with, especially as a beginner, because of how just user-friendly and intuitive it is. So I would love to know, are you selling online? Are you wanting to sell print on demand, digital products? Are you looking to create branding assets for your business? Let me know in the comments below what you're wanting to sell, what you're wanting to create with Kittle. And don't forget to click that link in the description box below to hop over and try it for free. Talk to you soon, friend.